Hey everybody, thanks for joining us back on the Profitable Product Launch course. Today we're joined by the CEO of Smart Marketer, Mr. Ezra Firestone. Ezra is somebody who Ryan and our team, we all follow closely because he is an expert at driving traffic and engaging his audience on social media. So I'm really excited to have him here today. I'm gonna go ahead and pin Ezra's video.
Hey y'all, thanks for having me. I don't have a presentation for you, but I do have enthusiasm and a willingness to answer questions and a future presentation as well. I'm wearing my favorite hat, a hat that I searched. It's a Patagonia hat with a bear on it that's waving, an actual picture of a bear. And I have scoured the earth for another one of these things because you can tell this one's getting kind of dirty. See, that's the original color, and that's the color that I've made the hat. And I've yet to find one. I reached out to Patagonia. I tried to find the photographer who took the picture. I have if you come across one of these bear hats, give me a ring because I'm interested.
Awesome.
So that's where I am in life. I mean, has nothing to do with e-commerce, but it is an important point to note. And I've been saying this, if anyone knows someone who bought one of these, I actually ran into a guy in the airport wearing one, offered him $300, turned me down.
Wow.
Offered him 400, turned me down. Then I realized no amount of money is going to get him to part with this hat. And I understood the sentiment because it's a very valuable hat. For those of us who have them, we have fallen deeply in love with them.
So if anybody in the audience is looking for their first product, we know where to go.
Tell you what, man, I think there's a market for bear hats out there.
So speaking of audiences and speaking to your ideal audience, how do you like to reach out to your audience? Like, where do you find your audience on social and initiate the conversation?
Are we talking about if I'm like a brand owner who has sort of a not particularly exciting, let's just go with the old rubber spatula example kind of product? You're talking about like me, Ezra Firestone, the influencer who's looking to connect with business owners.
Yeah, let's say you're building a niche audience in the kitchen space, right? And you're sourcing your product. You want to launch your first product, but the first step is you want to build your audience and get them engaged so that they're ready to buy when you're ready to sell it.
I know a lot of people teach that strategy of audience generation as the first step in a commerce business. I think that makes sense if you're in a market that lends itself to content generation. So health, pretty much any market can be. I actually have a course right now on how we do content marketing for brands. The way I start a brand is with a direct response sales process. So basically I will create, if it's an impulse buy, so let's say under $30, my sales process is probably going to look like video ad to product offer page to checkout. It's going to be that short. It's going to be a video ad that's kind of problem, agitation, solution. So here's the problem you're facing. Here's me agitating the problem. Here's the solution, which is the product. Here's a perfect example are those people who have those car sleeves, and they show the video of the person dropping something in between the two seats of the car and being angry. And then they show the sleeve, which is the solution. They stick it in there and then the person drops the phone and they can reach right in and grab it, right? So that kind of a little problem, agitation, solution video that then leads to like a long form sales page and checkout experience, or then leads to Amazon if I'm doing impulse buy. Now, for me, what I have discovered in e-commerce is that I think it's a much better strategy to go for the premium end of a market, which is in where I play in the 75 to let's say $80 to $130 average order value, because I feel like when you are selling those products that have higher average order values, you have more profit per order and you have more room to advertise, and there's less people playing in that space. And there's going to be people who buy at every segment of the market. Now, if you're starting out on a budget, you're going to need more money for inventory because more, products that are more expensive tend to cost more to buy. But back to the initial thing, which is I prefer to start with a direct response sales funnel, which is a video ad of some kind that leads to some kind of a sales process, which might include an article or might include a long form sales page or might go direct to Amazon or whatever it is, because I want to be framing customers from the beginning to try to get them to buy my product and be building my audience of people who've viewed my video, people who've visited my landing page, people who've abandoned the sales process. Like that audience is who I want to be marketing to. So I start all my brands direct response, and then I bring in content marketing as a strategy for repeat business, not as a strategy for initial customer acquisition. So if you look at Boom by Cindy Joseph, which is my biggest brand, we have a direct response sales funnel, which is video ads that lead to an article, that lead to a product offer page, et cetera. And then on the back end, as a way to re-engage people and get them to buy from us ongoingly. So the repeat business, like that's traffic and conversion. Then we have repeat business, which is a content marketing strategy. So that is my model for e-commerce, is direct response and content on the back end to re-engage and cross-sell. That's like blanket statement, the model that I have now. If you look at Smart Marketer, which is a brand that is built around a persona, a brand that is built around my personality. I am the influencer, and the idea is that I'm building a relationship with a group of people. That is the opposite. I start with content. I create content, I amplify it to a specific group of people that I think is going to be interested in it. When they watch it, and only when they watch it, do they then see ads to, learn about different products I have. So content first on my influencer brand. And what's interesting about, so that's Smart Marketer, which is education. Tell me if I'm rambling here. If you're with me, I'll stop if you want.
I'm following. Yeah.
So Zipify, which is an app company, is interesting because the content that we produce to educate and engage our customers is the same content that we use to go out and do customer acquisition. So for that brand, which is a software as a service brand, we're doing content that is like, hey, here's what our app does and here's why it's cool. Here's customers using our app who are doing well with it, and here's what they've done. So case studies, so documentation and education around what the app does, case studies around people being successful with the app, and sales funnels that you can use our app to build. So all of that content is actually created for people who've bought the app to keep them engaged. But because it's a niche business, it's also content that can be used on the front end for traditional direct response customer acquisition. And if you look at Boom, which is the brand that we have the direct response and the content on the back end, a lot of that content that we create on the back end to engage past customers will end up being used as well in our remarketing. Let's say someone visits a product, we'll use some of that same content as well. So some of the content you create can be used in your direct response process in certain cases, but for the most part, I kind of have those things separated.
Okay. That makes sense. I think where my mind goes next, and where it looks like a lot of the people in the comments their minds are going next, is how do you use that content or your marketing to build your audience of customers who actually want your products, so your products are like specifically made for versus.
This is exactly why when I'm doing e-commerce, I'm always starting with a direct response sales process. A lot of people will say, go do free plus shipping, go do an email opt-in for an ebook to get people on your list. And I'm like, that is wasted energy. That's energy in the direction of building some random audience who was interested in some free product or some bullshit ebook, pardon my language. What I want is to build a sales process that's designed to sell the product and build an audience by pushing people through that sales process. And here's why. Let's say, for example, I am trying to sell, give me a product. Just give me any product.
Spatula.
Okay. Well, let's go for someone throw a product out in here in the Q&A. Okay, a light switch. Let's say I want to build a light switch. So that is a commodity, right? It's maybe like let's say a clown light switch for a kid's bedroom, right? Some kind of custom thing that like not everyone's going to want. And that isn't sort of universally related to some other kind of thing. It's not like I can touch back on someone's viewpoint of their appearance and then go into like talking about a product. So I have to go specific. If I'm talking about selling a light switch, what I'm going to be focusing on is, okay, who wants a light switch and why? All right, in this case, it's a parent for a kid's bedroom. All right, so then I'm going to put together a video that's going to talk about this person's experience. Hey, are you a parent? Do you have kids? Obviously they are because I'm targeting them. Do you want them to be super stoked every time they turn on the light? I think a clown is a bad example because people are afraid of clowns, Let's say it's like a puppy light switch, This is why for those kind of impulse buy products, which are like $30 and under, the video model is problem, agitation, solution, which is like, here's the problem you're facing. I'm going to agitate that problem a little bit. And here's the solution. Here's why it's awesome. And here's some customer. So I usually go this is the problem. I agitated a little bit by showing it visually. Here's how the product solves it. This product's amazing. Here's all the benefits of owning the product. And here's a customer who's happy with owning the product. Like that is the sales video you'll see on Facebook. And I'll do a bunch of different targetings and I'll drive traffic to that video. And frankly, I don't really care what the cost is to buy a customer. I just want to see if I spend $1,000 and I drive, let's say 2,000 clicks, or I drive a bunch of views and ultimately get 1,000 people to click from viewing the video over to my page. How much did it cost me to buy a sale? Whatever that number is, let's say it was $100. My product's only 30 and I only have $20 profit on the product. Whatever that top line CPA is, cost per acquisition, I'm going to be able to have that with good marketing, with retargeting, with cart abandonment, email sequences, whatever. But I just want the data of what does it cost to generate a customer? What audiences convert? Because ultimately, where most business owners fail is what they don't understand is this concept of halo. So what's interesting is if you have an Amazon business and you are selling $10,000 a month, you're going to get a 10% halo on that. Meaning of those people that buy month one, 10% of them will come back again at some point if you have a good product or related products. For me, if I go out and buy 1,000 customers this month, 300 of them are going to come back next month. So when I spend, or 2 months from now, when I spend 100 grand a month or 200 grand a month on ads and I buy 100,000 customers in a year, this is why most businesses hit stride in year 3, 4, and 5. You notice if you look at the trends, it's like year 1 and 2 are struggle city. And then 3, 4, and 5 is where you really take off because the halo of the energy that you invested, i.e. the ad spend that you put into the brand, the assets that were generated, the customer assets, the email list, the audiences, all those assets then start returning year over year. They compound year over year. So you get this halo effect from the investment in ads. And I think that most business owners look at paid amplification in the wrong way. They look at it like, oh, I need to be profitable. But it's like, no, you're wasting money on all kinds of bullshit. You're out there trying to expand your product line, introduce new products and hire people and all this stuff when you should be taking 20% of all the money you're making and sticking it into paid ads in a direct response sales funnel to try to sell this product, regardless. That is part of doing business. That is not optional. I don't care if you're profitable or not. That's what you do. You make 100 grand a month on Amazon, you got 50 grand in profit. I want 10 of that towards paid ads from an off of Amazon source, just invested. Because what happens is over time, that compounds and grows. And if you're not doing that, you are essentially dumping water on the fire that is the potential of your business. You have to continue. And it's like a diet, man. You ever had a diet work that you did for 3 days and then turned off? No. Ads are the same way. And I see these people turn them on, turn them off, turn them on, turn them off. It's like that does not work. Has to be consistent, has to be in a sales process designed to sell the product. And the beauty of it is if you spend the money, you are going to optimize the sales process. People think I'm really good at sales funnel optimization. The only reason I'm good at it is because I'm spending money and I want the money to be as beneficial as possible. So then I go in and optimize it. If you're not spending the money, you never go in and do anything to the process. You're just like, oh, forget about it. It doesn't work. So it's really a decision to consistently invest in advertising that ultimately results in successful advertising. But that's like a hard sell I've found to business owners. Like, dude, you need to be spending money. People don't like it. But then when they join my mastermind and they actually do it, it works. So I think the secret really is committing to spending a percentage of your revenue on ads and then building out specifically direct response sales processes that are designed to sell your products, videos that are telling a story about the benefit of that particular product, especially for all the Amazon sellers who are doing more impulse buy type stuff, $25, $30 items, you know, things that are not like super sexy. Man, it's about the value proposition of owning the product. And if you don't build a sales process around that, even if, okay, let's say you want to go out and build an audience, right on. But once you want to monetize that audience, you're going to need the sales process anyway. So I start with, like, for example, I'm launching a new makeup brand. I have 4 products that I've sourced and formulated and developed. I'm doing 1 sales video and a long form sales page. I'm going to drop 15 grand on ads. From that, I will be able to tell you kind of what audiences are good, whether or not the messaging is working, what my customer, I'll have some data. Then I can say, okay, I can actually know something about this market because I put the minimum viable product in place, which is sales video, long form sales page, and some ad money.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Following your structure here, are most of your sales coming directly from the ads, or do they come from building a list and reaching back out to them and staying in touch with them?
I mean, they come from both, right? I'd say at this point, 5 or 6 years in, half of our sales are from past customers. But the year we went from 300,000 to 3 million, 100% of our sales were from new customers. The year we went from 3 million to 17 million, 100% of our sales were from new customers. Now we've had a couple years where we've done 20 million, and those are half and half. But like, there's a bunch of new customers out there that if you build an acquisition model that works, especially, man, if you've got all this free money coming in from Amazon. This is like, Amazon is cash. It's not a business. You got to take that cash and invest it. It's a good asset. It's a good asset in that you can sell it for a couple multiple, but it's quite risky because people are attacking your listing. People are negative reviewing you. Amazon's kind of trying to backdoor you to your supplier. Like, it's a lot of nefarious activity that's happening on Amazon. And so I'm always an advocate for, if you're, take 10% of your Amazon revenue and let's start dumping it into some ads. Even if you're ultimately directing people back to Amazon to buy, you're at least filtering them through some kind of process where you're building up a fan page audience, you're building up video view audiences, you're building up messenger lists, like you're building up some brand assets that are also off of Amazon. Even if Amazon is ultimately the cart that you're using. We're playing around now with the Amazon storefront. Don't have any like good data on it yet, but we're starting to run traffic from Facebook to our Amazon storefront and see if we can track that video ads to our, we don't have the tracking like fully figured out yet. I've had to fire a conversion event when someone buys on that storefront, but supposedly it's possible, but we don't have it sorted just yet.
Gotcha. Okay. Looking in the comments, we have Jeremy wants to know, when you're creating your video for your ads, where does video quality fall on your like importance scale? Like, are you as worried about the quality of the video or the message more?
People are shooting movies on iPhones. So if you have a smartphone, you have, as good of quality as you need. Audio quality is the most important when it comes to quality. So at the very least, have some kind of lav mic that plugs in. And then it's really just about how compelling is your story. How compelling, like, are you able to get people's attention and then hold their attention for 30 to 60 seconds or longer while you're telling them about this thing that you have that you think is great? That's the question. It's all about, it's like, man, I would say all of our videos were done on a Mac, just an iMac. Like, all of our first videos were done super low quality, but they were interesting, compelling. They had unique ideas. So it's really all about the story. But I mean, listen, if you have the ability to produce super fancy quality videos, it's not going to hurt. But I don't think it's a factor that should sort of withhold you.
Nice. You got some hashtags, so that's a good response. Mitch wants to know, if you're selling, say, like a $300 item or more expensive items, how do you build the credibility for your sales that are more expensive and not so impulse-based purchases?
Well, I guess the question is, what are you selling? Because what I've noticed about higher ticket items is that the sales cycle has to be longer. So one of the things that I do at Smart Marketer is I sell $1,500 courses on like how to use Facebook Messenger to grow your business, how to use Facebook ads to grow your business, how to use email marketing, how to use project management to have a more organized business. It's all about like making your life easier and better as a business owner. And those courses retail for $1,500. I also have a $1,200 a month mastermind program, right? Which is like a really high-end paid coaching thing, right? So those are essentially the two products that company has. Only has two products: got digitally delivered informational courses and a high-end mastermind. The people who buy those have, for the most part, been consuming my content or following me for months. And then I take an hour and a half to explain the value proposition of the course before I even pitch it, right? So the sales cycle is much longer. Impulse buys, lower end products, the sales cycle is real short. Search, find, buy on Amazon, or cool video to sales page on Facebook. Like, it's a much shorter sales cycle. So when you're looking at a high ticket sale, what you have to do is craft a sales process that is long enough to build the trust that you need in order to sell that thing. Now, the product is going to dictate it. But like when I was selling $100,000 lots of land in Uruguay, that sales cycle was a year long, right? So it would start from a search. Someone would search for real estate Belize or real estate Costa Rica, because those were the places that Westerners knew to, if they wanted to diversify their holdings, they knew that investing in Costa Rica or Belize at this time anyways, in 2007 or whatever it was a good investment. And so they would search for that. I would then run an ad that said, are you considering investing in Costa Rica? You could be making a huge mistake. Come over here. And they would click the ad. The ad would go to like a 20-minute video that's like, hey, there's this other place in South America that is, doesn't have an army and has a stable economy and all these crazy things. And the place you're looking at is terrible for all these reasons. Are you interested in learning more? Yes. Okay. 1 hour educational webinar. And then I would follow up with these people with education about Uruguay for like 6 months, ultimately trying to get them on a phone call. The phone call would then result in getting them to come down and visit the development. And then once they were down there, they would buy the $100,000 thing. It was a year to make that sale. I sold millions of dollars worth of real estate, but I just knew what I needed for my sales cycle. So for example, a $300 item, man, you probably are going to need some kind of sequence content. So some kind of video that gets people's attention, and then a retargeting model where you're retargeting them with different value propositions, like people who saw the product page in the last 3 days, and then people who saw it in the last 7 days, and then people who saw it in the last 14 days, right? So different pieces of content going to people based on how far they are from having viewed the product. So if you viewed it in the last 3 days, hardcore sell, testimonial video about why it's wonderful. If you visited in the last 3 to 7 days, maybe into some logic of why you would want this thing. If you're all the way at 10 days and on, at this point, we're just trying to re-engage you with some education or whatever it is. It's like, it's not really about, the product is going to dictate what that content looks like, but the more expensive the product, the longer the sales cycle. And that's what you need to know. So for Smart Marketer, the idea is put content out that people like, that's valuable to them, that will improve their life, that will have them do better in their business, feel better as a human being, because we talk about relationships, communication, all kinds of stuff. Have them like that and want to subscribe. And once they subscribe, give them more content. And then the people who are consuming the content, offer them stuff. That's the model for that particular high ticket offer.
Awesome. And Jason wants to know if you prioritize content optimization or audience optimization, or both simultaneously.
What does that mean?
I think what he means, Jason, you can tell me if I'm wrong here. I think what he means is maybe like split testing videos or copy versus split testing audiences.
When you first start a campaign, the audiences are very important. So who you target, like I will do like super niche. I'll spend hours like going into niche fan pages and using the audience insights tool on Facebook and finding related interests to start, right? You want audiences of 2 to 5 million people. Once you've got some conversions and sales happening and you can build a lookalike audience, at that point, it switches over to 100% creative, and you kind of let Facebook do the optimization because they know who your buyers are at that point and what your leads look like. And they're going to do a better job finding audiences than you are. So kind of starts with a focus on audiences and then moves to a focus on creative. Obviously creative is always the most important thing, but if you're putting it in front of the wrong people, it's never going to work. So you get your creative together as best you can. You worry about your audiences a lot in the beginning. Then once you are making sales consistently, you switch to letting Facebook do all the targeting for you by doing lookalike audiences and that stuff. And then you focus more on creative.
Nice. Thanks for that.
By the way, I got to go in just a couple minutes here, but I will do another one where I actually do a presentation for you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So we'll just do like 1 or 2 more questions.
I'll actually show you a lookalike audience. So let me share my screen here. Can I get in there or no?
You should be able to click the screen share button on the bottom.
Okay. So let's see where. Screen share. Okay, here we go. You got this, right?
I can see it.
Okay. So the cool thing about your Facebook pixel, so basically if you have a website that has one of these, if you have like a Shopify store and it's got a pixel on it, your pixel is going to track a bunch of different things on your website for you. And I'll just give you an example of some of those by taking a look at the details of the actual pixel and show you some of the events. So tracking anyone who visits a page, who views a specific product, who adds a product to the cart, who initiates checkout, right? How many people purchase, right? These are all the purchases here. So these are all people purchasing. So you have all these events on your pixel, right? But you also, so those are like different activities that people are taking on my website. They're viewing pages, they're viewing products, they're adding products to the cart, they're initiating checkout, they're adding their payment info, they're purchasing stuff, they're doing upsells, they're doing downsells. I'm tracking all of these inside my Facebook pixel. In addition to that, in the audiences section, I have the ability inside of Facebook, if I'm running a video ad, to do this, where I come into my audiences and I'm getting somewhere with this. I click on create audience, custom audience, and I can do an audience based on engagement. So then I click engagement, and let's say, for example, it's engagement with a video. So I click video, and then I get to choose people who watch, let's say 75% of my video, right? And my videos are pretty long, right? So look, this video's had 12 million views and it's 7 minutes long. So if I select that one, let's say I did that and I confirmed it, and you'll see if I type in 75% here, you see I do use these audiences, right? These are all my 75% video view audiences here, right? So the beautiful thing is once I created this, okay, so 100,000 people watched 75% of one of my videos in the last 14 days. So then I can check this and I can say, hey, Facebook, create a lookalike audience based on this. Do it for people in the United States, and let's have the lookalike be 1%. So basically Facebook is then going to create an audience of 2.1 million people in the United States who look the most like the people who watched 75% of my video. So basically Facebook has thousands of data points on every person. That's why they're getting in trouble, right? They know how old you are. They know where you live. They know what you bought. They know where you traveled. They got your location data. They have all your data. And every person has all these data points, right? Facebook goes out and says, okay, the people who watch 75% or more, what data points do they have in common? And they get all like 1,000 data points all these people have in common. And they go, okay, what other people have at least 100 of these data points? And that's the lookalike audience. And you can build the lookalike audience off of anything. So I can go, for example, and say, create an audience, custom audience, engagement. I want, people who have commented on one of my ads, because those people are really engaged. And then I'll create that audience. And then once the audience is created, so for example, say if I have an engager audience in here, page engagers. So here I created an audience of people who engage with my fan page, right? 360,000 people. I could do a lookalike of people who engage with my fan page. Or like I was talking about for those events, I could create an audience of a custom audience of website traffic. And then I could say, I want anyone who has purchased something in the last 30 days. And that's my buyer's lookalike. I go a step further, and I get my lifetime, my LCV, my customers with the best lifetime customer value. So for example, these are my LCV buyers, right? There's, let's see, where are they? Okay, there's 33,000 people who spent at least $200 with me, right? These people here. It's synced from my Klaviyo, which is my CRM that tracks the stuff. Then I did a lookalike of the people who spent the most with me. And you know what my best audience is? Is this 2 million lookalike right here, 1 to 2%. And then you can see this is 2 to 5%. So this is 6 million people. They're a little bit less, they look a little bit less like these LCV people. But do you see what I'm saying with lookalike audiences? Where basically you got these data points, and if you're tracking them, or let's say you've got your Amazon customers and you uploaded the email list into the Facebook, which some people do still, I don't know if it's allowed or whatever, but then you do a lookalike on that. Now you've got people who look the most like your Amazon customers. And then if you want, you can segment it further, and you could say people who are in this lookalike audience who are men who are 25 to 40 who live in California. And now you're a little bit narrower. So does that make sense?
I'm following. If If everybody else is following, put some hashtags in the. There we go. Yep. All right. Cool. Yep. We're following.
I do have to jump to. I'll answer this last question, which is Facebook ads or Google ads. Facebook ads are just getting too annoying, too many viewers. Boy, I tell you what, Google Ads interface sucks, right? So if you look at my ad spend, I started on Google. I still spend a lot of money on YouTube, a lot of money on Google Shopping, a lot of money on Google AdWords, a lot of money on the display network. Like I'm a Google guy from old school Google. I started with AdWords back in 2005. I was selling cheese via Commission Junction. I was out there, but Google's interface is very complex and the ease of use is tough. So if you are not a very sophisticated advertiser and you're not very used to manipulating self-serve ad platform interfaces, right? So Facebook is a self-serve ad platform. You go in there, you serve yourself, you set it all up, and you run your ads. Google's the same way, but their self-serve interface is much less user-friendly. It's a lot harder to achieve the proper setup of a campaign than it is in Facebook. And you know, everyone is on Facebook and Instagram, and Facebook and Instagram are so much easier to set up. And it's 80% of our ad spend. So I would always recommend starting there and then replicating whatever works over to Google as a phase 2, because it's just easier to have success on Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome. Hey, Ezra, thank you so much, man. I know you got to run.
Yeah. Hey, sorry for the confusion. You know, I do look forward to doing this again. You know, I'll prepare something. We'll reschedule it. And I'll know what it is this time. So apologies for that, guys. And I look forward to hopping back on here maybe next month or something.
Yeah, we'll be in touch with you. Thanks, man.
Okay. Thanks. Talk to you later.
See ya. Hey, thank you, everybody. We'll be back next Thursday with our next call. Apologies about this week. We're going to get this sorted out, and our team will reach out to you with updates about when Ezra will be back on, and just updates with the course in general. How many more calls do we have? Jeremy asks. Let me just double check so I don't tell you the wrong answer. 1, 2. It looks like we have 3 more calls, including Ezra's reschedule. But yeah, so thank you, everybody. Again, sorry, but we will be in touch with you, okay? Oh, and about the Facebook group, I know a few of you have asked about the Facebook group. I am going to talk to the team about it. I think it's a good idea. I don't see why we wouldn't, but I don't know everything. So I will get back to you and let you know, okay? All right, y'all. Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon, okay? Adios.